We're back with another episode of Hoosier Myths and Legends.
I'm Rebecca Wilhelm.
I'm Mary Quigley.
And I'm Hope Wilhelm.
Join us as we dive into the spookier side of the Hoosier state.
So what comes to your mind when you think of Indiana? Do you think of corn? Do you think of basketball? Do you think of the Indianapolis 500? Maybe you think of famous celebrities who were born in Indiana, like John Mellencamp or Michael Jackson.
But as the saying goes, there is more than corn in Indiana. 92 counties make up the Hoosier state. In this podcast, we are going to discuss some Indiana folklore from each of these counties. If you are into tall tales, ghosts, or spooky legends, then this is a podcast you are not going to want to miss.
We have a special guest co-host with us today. Hope couldn't be with us. She's not feeling well. So my son Earl is joining us.
Hey, what's up, party people?
Earl's name will sound familiar to those of our listeners who have been with us from the beginning. Earl and his friends from Wet Blanket wrote and recorded our theme song for us. Earl was also a guest host on an episode last season.
Yeah, I was on the episode about Spook Light Hill.
It's a good legend, so if you've not checked that one out, please go back and listen to it. It's Season 2, Episode 2, The Legend of Spook Light Hill, and it's a great one.
Well, as always, we have some spooky legends for our listeners today.
In today's episode, we're going to bring you a few hitchhiking stories from all over the Hoosier state. I guarantee you that you're going to be thinking about some of these next time you're driving alone in the dark.
The files of the Indiana State University Folklore Archives, they're full of tales of Hoosiers' encounters with the vanishing hitchhiker, the mysterious man or woman who's picked up only to later disappear from the vehicle. Sometimes the hitchhiker's silent. Other times he or she gives the driver an ominous warning or a message. And this is a phenomenon that is centuries old, and tales predate the invention of the automobile. Tales go back to the horse and buggy days. And in the late 19th century, there was even tales of a mysterious young woman who would beg and plead for a ride whenever a horse and buggy was traveling through Brown County, only to disappear from the buggy a short time later. So sit back and relax. We have some tales that are sure to spook you the next time you find yourself driving alone on a dark and spooky night. It'll definitely make you think twice before you pick up a hitchhiker.
The Vanishing Hitchhiker is probably one of the most creepiest ghost stories ever.
There are two legends that I always associate with Indiana ghost hitchhikers. The Ghost Bride of Klein Avenue and the Reeder Road Ghost.
I do too, and we've covered both of these legends on the podcast. The Klein Avenue Ghost was in Season 1, Episode 1, and the Reeder Road Hitchhiker was covered in Season 1, Episode 10, The Notorious Reeder Road. So if you've not heard them, please go back in and listen to those.
When you look at the folklore archives, it's crazy how many legends are out there.
Well, I know that after looking at all of these, I'm going to be thinking about pretty much all of them. When I'm driving alone, I'm going to get kind of spooked.
So let's go ahead and jump into some of these crazy legends. Our first legend's one that I consider to be an oral legend. I've not seen a written record of this one, but it's a legend that was talked about while I was a student at Vincennes University back in the 90s, and we also talked about it during my folklore class at ISU.
Our first legend comes from Farmersburg, Indiana, along Highway 41. On dark, rainy nights, drivers have reported seeing a young lady hitchhiking. She is thought to be the spirit of a college student who was killed in an automobile accident back in the 1960s.
She's always seen wearing 1960s type clothing, and she appears distraught.
Those who have picked her up say that she always says thank you, but that she's very upset. And while they're driving, she asks them to call her Dad because, he's probably worried, probably freaking out, and she's thinking that. And she always gives a Munster, Indiana phone number before disappearing from the vehicle a little bit after.
Legend says that one driver got the courage to call the number many years ago. He spoke to the father, who at this time was elderly and a retired physician. He informed the driver that the girl he picked up must have been his daughter.
The father then goes on to tell that his daughter had been killed in an auto accident on her way back home from college in the 60s. The father then tells the caller that he's received this phone call many times over the years and that he believes it's the spirit of his daughter trying to make it home.
Now, I do have to say, we've traveled through Farmersburg on Highway 41 many, many times over the years, all hours of the day and night. And Mary and I and our family, we've never actually seen this spirit.
That's true. We've been through there a lot while you were going to VU, and we've never once seen this.
Maybe she's finally at peace and has made it home.
That's a good way to think about it, Bub.
Our next legend is from Terre Haute, Indiana. This one is a legend of a lady who is said to be dressed in all white with long black hair.
This hitchhiker is always seen around Halloween at the corner of Fruit Ridge and Margaret Streets. She always appears around dusk. People report seeing her either standing out in the fields or along the roadway. They all report that she looks like she's in trouble, so people will usually stop for her to try to help.
So she'll get in the car and she's silent. I mean, we're talking no smiling, no interaction. She just gets in silently, and then she'll just disappear from the vehicle when the driver's about 2 blocks from where she got in. And there's different accounts as to who this spirit is.
Some legends claim it's the spirit of a Native American princess who was kidnapped and killed in the area by a different tribe.
Other people say that it's the spirit of a woman killed in an auto accident a long time ago. She swerved to avoid hitting another vehicle. Instead, she hit a tree head on.
Now, listeners, beware, because this is an ominous legend. Lots of people say you absolutely do not want to encounter this spirit, whoever she may be.
Apparently, as she enters your vehicle, you'll get a chill. We're not talking about just feeling a little bit cold.
We're not talking about chilling with the boys either. We're talking about the hair on your arms is standing straight up.
Now here's the scary part.
About 2 weeks after you encounter her, the dreams begin.
Nightmares. Dreams that never leave you. People report having nightmares of an Indian princess being kidnapped and murdered by a rival tribe.
The dreams continue for weeks, months. Some people have them even years after encountering this spirit. And some claim that the dreams have never ever left them. And they will go away for a while, but they always return, and the dream is always the same.
Nope, no way, I'm out.
Yeah, Mom, I thought you were pretty scary, but I think this lady's got you beat.
I agree. Yeah, there's no way I want to see this person.
There is also probably one of the only legends we've come across that has an eyewitness.
In 1994, a group of friends saw a couple stop at Fruit Ridge and Margaret. They got out and opened their door as if they were letting someone in their car, only there was nobody. They then drove away. The witness says that she never saw anyone else get into their vehicle.
Yeah, that's really creepy. Have to admit, if I ever saw this lady, there ain't no way I'm picking her up. So our next legend is the Lady in White on 38th Street in Indianapolis. And the first report of this spirit goes back to the late 1950s.
2 teenage boys are driving along 38th Street. It's around 3 a.m. and they're on their way home from a party.
Yeah, and back then there was almost nothing there.
So as these boys are driving along, they see this lady in a white wedding dress walking along. She appears distressed, and those boys stopped and they asked if she needed help.
She tells the boys yes, that she doesn't feel well and she needs a ride home. She gets in the car and gives the boys her address.
When they arrive at the house, the boys ask her if they can help her inside. She tells them no, she wants her dad, and asks if they will go get him.
So these boys go up and they knock on the front door. So an older gentleman comes and a woman, and they answer the door. And the boys explain, I have your daughter in the car and she needs help.
The man and woman are upset. The woman walks away and the man angrily asks the two boys if it's some kind of sick joke.
The woman reappears with a picture of a beautiful young girl. She asks the boys if this is a girl that they had picked up.
The boys reply, yes, that's her.
The father is angry and says, no, that's not possible. Their daughter was killed 5 years ago, and slams the door in their face.
So the boys return to the vehicle to find out that the lady, the young girl, she's not there.
She gone.
I'm curious if anyone in the present day has picked her up.
Yes, apparently she's been seen and picked up on 38th Street. She always asks for a ride to a nearby house and then disappears from the car when they arrive.
Some believe that she's buried in Crown Hill and that she's the same spirit that's also trying to escape the gates there.
That's really creepy. And when Mary was in college at Marion, we've been down 38th Street a lot, and I never seen her.
Never seen her. Nope.
Our podcast is growing, and it's so exciting to see all of our new followers on social media and all of the many downloads of our podcast.
Most of our listeners come from iHeartRadio. However, we are on all the major podcast platforms. If you like what you hear, please don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us through.
Your comments and likes help others find us. Thank you for tuning in to the Hoosier Myths and Legends podcast. Now back to our show.
So our next legend's a little different. Instead of a woman, this is a man that vanishes from a vehicle.
Our legend takes place in the early 1990s along I-65 around Crothersville.
On Christmas Eve, a man and his wife are traveling along I-65 when they see a man hitchhiking. They pull over and pick him up.
The man's quiet, doesn't say much. All he tells the couple is that it's going to be, quote, a wonderful Christmas.
The man got into the vehicle carrying 2 large bags.
The couple who were giving him a ride were poor. They didn't have much money. The hitchhiker offers them gas money, which they refuse since it's Christmas.
So they drive a little further down I-65, and they don't make any other stops.
They turn around to ask the man if he needs them to stop since it's been a while. To their surprise, he's gone from the vehicle.
The only thing left is the 2 bags the man was carrying.
And these bags were full of Christmas presents, and the couple never saw the hitchhiker again.
Well, that is creepy, but a good ending.
Yeah, he's kind of like a spooky Santa.
Sort of. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
Our last legend comes from New Paris, Indiana.
Now, this one's creepy because our vanishing hitchhiker in this legend has a message.
Legend goes that a young lady was driving down Cable Line Road in New Paris, Indiana, when she saw a man hitchhiking.
She pulls over to let him in, and he quietly gets into the car and doesn't really say anything.
So they go down the road for a long while, and all of a sudden the man looks at her and tells her, Gabriel's lips are on your horn. She looked down and then back up, and the man was gone. Startled, she jerks her car.
A police officer pulls her over a few minutes later. He asks her if she's all right. She explains to the officer what just happened.
The officer tells the lady that she's the 6th person he has pulled over that has picked this guy up and told the same exact story.
Yeah, that's definitely a moment where, as an officer, you're probably wondering if you really should be looking for this hitchhiker.
We looked online and, of course, found New Paris, Indiana.
However, we were not able to find the road where this had occurred.
So I'm wondering if this road's changed names at some point, because that happens a lot. And the legend collected took place back in the early 90s. So any of our listeners out there, if you know where Cable Line Road is, or if this road, changed names, send us a message and please let us know.
Earl, how can our listeners find out more about your band and your music?
That is an excellent question, and I have an excellent answer. You can check us out. We're called Lacey Lane. We have a website that we've recently just launched. It's called LaceyLaneBand.com. Again, that's LaceyLaneBand.com. And there, it's kind of like a one-stop shop for everything you're looking for. You can find links to our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. There's some pictures on there, some bios if you're looking to get to know us a little bit. So if you're interested, I would appreciate it if you checked us out.
So when are your upcoming shows if someone wanted to come?
Well, we are based in the southeast Indiana area. So if you're in that area, you can come see us. At the time of recording, it's this Saturday, September 10th in Aurora, Indiana, at the Rockin' on the River event. It's a battle of the bands. It's going to be us and 9 other bands just battling it out, seeing who's the top dog. We play at 2:30. It's a half-hour set. So if you can make it to that one, we would appreciate it. And if you can't catch us there, we're playing at the Farmers Fair September 30th at 8 p.m. We're going to be going 8 to 10, so there's a little bit of a bigger window there.
And what city is the Farmers Fair in, for listeners that don't know?
That one is also in Aurora, Indiana. If you live closer to the Batesville area, we're going to be playing the Sherman there October 15th at 7.
So if you're in the area and you can attend one of Lacey Lane's shows, we'd love to meet you. I know Mary's planning to attend, and I will be there as well. So come on out, listen to some good rock and roll, and come say hello to your Hoosier Myths and Legends girls.
Yes. Have you ever had an experience on an Indiana highway or road? Are you familiar with some of these Hoosier hitchhiking legends? We would love to hear about it. You can send us an email to HoosierMythsandLegends@gmail.com or DM to Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. We may use it in a later episode. In the email, let us know if you wish to remain anonymous.
And I want to let our listeners know we've added a new section to our website. We want to hear your spooky stories. So if you've had something spooky happen to you, an Indiana tale, or you know of a legend we should cover, please tell us about it. To see our source material, please visit our website, HoosierMythsandLegends.com. Please find us and follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Hoosier Myths and Legends podcast is a Quigley Virtual Services production.
Our theme song was written and recorded by Wet Blanket. The song title is Taxidermy Race Car.
As always, stay spooky.